All I got to say going into this recap is Mark freaking Williams, baby. Yeah. I don't know how long he's going to be healthy, but yeah. Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Dan Vespers, and this is Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball Monday Recap Edition here first thing on Tuesday morn. And yes, we're going to talk about more stuff than just Mark Williams, but that was pretty damn sweet. Please drop a follow over on Twitter at Dan Vespers. I maintain you really aren't going to beat an intermediate or an expert league unless you're getting their news faster than everyone else. That is, for better or worse, probably worse, the place to do it. I'm at Dan Vespers over there, DanBesbris. Like, rate, and subscribe as you're settling in. Those buttons are right there on your screen. They're so close to you, you can almost feel them. Certainly with your cursor/thumb, depending on whether you're on a computer or a smart device, you basically can feel them. And let's knock this sucker out of the way early. Bet Online continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. They've got the earliest odds. They've got in-game live betting and the ability to watch the games as they're going down with the largest selection of odds on everything from football to the NBA and college hoops, NHL, UFC, you name it, they got it. And when you head there, make sure to use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on that first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here. They've been a wonderful, wonderful partner for us here on Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. So truly, I know sometimes I blitz through it because we got so many things to cover. Thank you to all of you guys and to Bet Online. We'll start at the top. The Chicago Bulls. They were down Zach LaVine, so it took overtime to take down a Hornets team that was playing without LaMelo Ball and without Brandon Miller. But ultimately, the Bulls got the job done thanks to 18 points off the bench from Torrey Craig. You can fully ignore that. 5 steals and blocks combined from Talen Horton-Tucker. You can ignore that as well. Kobe White had a nice game, near triple-double. Patrick Williams played pretty well, and that's kind of been the case with Ayo Dosunmu out, but I don't really want anything to do with Patrick Williams because we've known long enough now that we're like 2 to 3 solid injuries away from him being a reliable source of stuff for more than one game out of about every 3. Josh Giddey didn't shoot the ball well, but otherwise was fine. Vooch, also in a weird twist, didn't shoot the ball, but was otherwise fine. Lonzo Ball played I think this is a season high, 26 minutes for him. He only scored 4 points, but had 3 boards, 5 assists, 3 steals, and was, I believe, a team best plus 25. He's just a difference maker, guys. And again, I've laid this out on the podcast before. I need him to be consistently over 24, 25 minutes before I make the grab. We haven't seen that yet. One time here isn't enough. And frankly, because he didn't put up a big line, I don't think we have to jump on Lonzo Ball and get out in front of it because people aren't going to be racing to pick him up right now. But it is something to keep watch on. He's going to be sort of permanently on our watch list, possibly the entire year on the watch list. But for now, a small tick in the right direction. Charlotte. Yeah, this is a good one. Mark Williams, 31 minutes in this overtime loss, which, by the way, does worry me because 31 is a lot. 20 points, 12 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks on a perfecto. 9 for 9 shooting from the field, 2 for 2 at the free throw line. It was a powerhouse evening for Big Mark. And, life's just getting better. Odds are he plays far fewer minutes than this in Charlotte's next ball game, which I believe isn't until Friday. So I guess there's a pretty good amount of recovery time. So anyway, don't be disturbed if he plays 22 in the next game after going big in this one. They might want to go easy on him, but I guess with 3 days off, maybe they'll go sort of medium large on him again. Either way, we're starting to get little flavors of the Mark Williams that we're kind of hoping to see as the season progresses. He's top 80 in 18 minutes a game right now. Dude is flexing top 50 upside. We'll see if he gets there. Miles Bridges was kind of the only offensive threat on this team. Took 32 shots, 31 points, 12 boards, 8 assists. He's another guy that's been kind of quietly moving up the board. He's number 88 now. Still, I mean, it's not a buy low after a guy takes 32 shots, but he's still maybe a little bit below where we think he's going to end up for the season, more like a 70 range dude. So I don't know. Is there a tiny bit of wiggle room there? Maybe, maybe not. We talked about Vasilije Micic a bunch on social media as your LaMelo Ball fill-in, but he's a punt, field goal, punt, turnover type of play. He had 7 assists, but he shot 1 for 13 and had 2 turnovers. Really an ugly game all told, and you just don't really go much beyond any of that. The Knicks beat the Wizards by 20, although this game was actually close until the middle of the fourth quarter, and then Josh Hart kind of single-handedly pulled away. Triple-double for Josh Hart. He's been nuts this year. Cat, another gigantic game. These guys are thoroughly enjoying playing Tom Thibodeau minutes. There really isn't anything to take away from the Knicks other than it kind of feels like every single player on this team is a ticking time bomb, because I believe, and so don't quote me on this exact stat, but I believe the Knicks have 3 of the top 5 in total minutes played this year. I don't know if that's a per game number or a totals number. I mean, I know it's a totals number. I don't know if it carries over to the per game side, but like Mikal Bridges is averaging 39 minutes a game so far this year and has not missed a game. Jalen Brunson is averaging 35, has not missed a game. OG Anunoby is averaging 36 and change, has not missed a game. Josh Hart has missed 1, and he's playing 37 minutes a night. And Cat, they're going easy on. He's at 34 minutes, and he's missed 2 games so far. Someone's getting hurt on that team while they rack up these ridiculous minute counts. I don't know who, and I don't know when, but it's going to happen. And so the sell high isn't necessarily that you think the production is going to taper, although with Josh Hart still shooting 58%, does kind of feel like that number is probably going to come down. But Mikal Bridges leads the league in minutes played. Hart, I think, is 3rd in the entire league in minutes played. Anunoby is, I think, 4th or 5th because he's played more games than the other guys that have more per. So, I mean, Mikal Bridges is sort of known for being an Iron Man, but like Josh Hart at 37 minutes a game and OG at 36, those are ticking time bombs. Fun while it lasts. See what you can get. For the Wizards, Kyle Kuzma made his return. He played 21 minutes, had 9 points, 3 boards, and 3 assists. I mean, he'll probably slowly get better from there. I don't really see him as a traditional 9-cat guy. It's possible that if you have the right punt builds, he could fit your team. You know me, I'm not really a true punt guy, so I'm not a big Kyle Kuzma guy. If you have him, I think you try to wait for him to hit some kind of a stride, and then you try to sell off on Kuz. Malcolm Brogdon is very much a go as long as the Wizards have whatever this configuration is running out. He's a well-rounded fantasy player. He's going to be hurt soon, I reckon, but get something out of him while you can. Alex Sarr was questionable coming into this game with an illness, I believe. He ended up playing, but Valanciunas had a nice game, and that was probably part of it. Bub Carrington left part way. Post-traumatic headache. I don't like that. So headshot, basically, and that'll probably cost him a little bit of time. I don't know that anybody jumps up into a bigger role other than maybe more for Brogdon, more for Coulibaly. We'll see, I guess. And then, okay, so you're playing Bilal. I know he had a bad shooting game, but he does other stuff, so it kind of papers over some of the mess. Alex Sarr's a hold. JV's a soft hold. Brogdon's a play. Kuzma is, you're benching him until he gets his minutes back up. Justin Champagnie was the guy that we were very curious about coming into this evening. What the hell minutes was he going to have with Kuzma back, but Poole's still out? The answer ended up being 25 mostly unproductive minutes. He did have a steal and 2 blocks, so that, again, kind of covered up the mess. But this is why I'm afraid of playing Champagnie in anything other than really nice scheduling spots right now, because he might play 45 minutes and he might play 13, or he might, like, split the difference. And when Poole comes back and Kuzma's minutes ramp up, will there be anything left for him at that point? Don't get me wrong. I love Justin Champagnie's fantasy game. I do. I love his fantasy game, but I don't love the inconsistent minutes that he's getting right now. And for that reason, I don't know how you hold him in Roto. Because even once the Wizards go into sell-off mode, it's not clear that he's the guy that they want to, like, jam into more playing time. So Kispert could get traded. Brogdon could get traded. Valanciunas should get traded. Kuzma's on the block. They got a lot of guys that they might move, but it's also hard to trade like 4 guys. And we might need 4 guys out of the way for them to be like, sure, Justin Champagnie, you can just play 30. Have 30, don't worry about it. No big deal. So head-to-head, okay, fine. If the Wizards have a good schedule, yeah, you ride it out. You hope you get 1 or 2 good ones out of it. Their schedule's decent right now. They've got a 4-game week this week. They got a 4-game week next week and the week after that before it slows just a little bit. They actually go 5-7, and I'm realizing that I actually failed to color code that on my streaming grid. That starts on Tuesday of next week. That's January 7th. So that would be a really good time to play Justin Champagnie. Just pick him up for 7 days in head-to-head, not Roto. All right, what do we got next on the docket here? Clippers at Pelicans. Whoops, that thing, why do I need to refresh the page. Don't worry about that. It says there's 16 seconds left in the game. The game is over. Norman Powell had a huge performance, but slowed to a crawl as the game went on. He had 35 like midway through the third quarter and then didn't get much going the rest of the way. Or is this game, did that game go into overtime? Anyway, doesn't matter. Norm was great. Zubats was great. Missed his free throws again. It's turning into a problem. James Harden continued his inefficient ways. Man, that team. Harden badly needs Kawhi Leonard. Someone's got to take a little bit of the initiation pressure off of him. We talked about Chris Dunn and Derek Jones Jr. as schedule plays because the Clippers have 3 games in 4 nights and 4 games in 6 nights. That worked. Dunn with a decent number of assists and steals. Derek Jones with a decent number of whatevers and steals. And so, like, again, if that was your play on the head-to-head side, it generally worked. As far as the Pelicans go, are they the Pelicans or are they the Pelicans? It's basically the same thing. I'm in a weird twist. I'm kind of waiting to see what Jose Alvarado does. I know I mentioned that on this show a couple days ago. In the meantime, they're a start the starters team. DeJounte had a solid all-around performance with a crap ton of steals. Trey Murphy is knocking down 3-pointers like they're going out of style. Herb Jones is doing a little bit of everything. Yves Missi is a little bit up and down, but he had a ton of blocks here. CJ McCollum woke up, had his first big game in a while. And then there's really nobody else. But wouldn't it be nice if they had one other guy they could use? And that one other guy would be Alvarado if he can get back and get his minute count up. What's the odds of that? Like 15%. It's not particularly high. But if he can get back into decent playing time before other guys come back, he could end up playing 25, 26 bench minutes just to take a little bit of the pressure off the starting 5. Because right now, you got Brandon Boston playing a dozen, and Javonte Green 15, and Jordan Hawkins 15. You could just sort of aggregate some of that. 20 some odd for Alvarado would probably be enough for him to squeeze up near the edge of 9-cat playability. Let's take a quick commercial break before we get to the rest of the games on the docket. Oh, you know what? I forgot that I can make my face smaller on this screen and make the numbers bigger. There we go. Let's keep going. Denver beat Utah 132-121. Russell Westbrook, another perfecto. Mark Williams, not alone. Russ 16, 10, and 10 with 4 steals. Made all 7 of his shots, both of his free throws. Did not commit a turnover. Really, honestly, one of the best games of Russell Westbrook's career, which has been fully salvaged by playing alongside Nikola Jokic. To nobody's surprise, Jokic just turning people into all-stars all around him. Russ obviously belongs on rosters while Aaron Gordon is out, possibly even beyond that, although the free throw does become a bit problematic when, I know he made them in this ball game, but when the usage drops, when the amount of stuff he's getting to do dips, then that bad percentages stuff starts to weigh a little bit more heavily. The good news here is that with Gordon out, Christian Brown is a much clearer hold. He looks a whole hell of a lot better. And Nikola Jokic, who's like, yeah, Russ, you had a turnover-free triple-double. How about I give you a 30-20-10 night? That's a stupid line. Interesting that Jokic shot under 50%, though. 36, 23, and 11. But I'm splitting hairs. Utah is back to being annoying because Keontae George came back. Not that I'm trying to clown on Keontae. It's not his fault. But they just have one too many guys that needs to be holding a basketball. In this game, the good news was that Colin Sexton did enough to be a go. And Walker Kessler is an easy decision because his minutes are not really impacted by all these other guys, who, by the way, Walker Kessler also had a perfecto. Not as exciting, I realize, just 6 for 6. No free throws, a double-double with 3 blocks and 4 assists, but still, it's pretty freaking good. Jordan Clarkson, we know enough about him to know he runs super hot and super cold. You can play him head-to-head in a good schedule spot, but there's no way I'd have the, I believe the term is nuts, have the nuts to play him in Roto. Even when he's running hot, I wouldn't do it because the second you drop him into your lineup, he's going to crash and burn. Hopefully, Keontae can kind of get his legs back underneath him. He was just starting to play a little bit better before this injury. We'll see what happens. He's not a guy that I targeted in any Roto leagues, but I do have him in kind of a volume. It's almost points league, a head-to-head league that I'm in. And I am admittedly a bit worried about what he does to Colin Sexton. Sexton was rolling with Keontae George out. He was the point guard, and the assists dropped back down to 4 in this game. Yes, he took plenty of shots, so that, again, kind of papered over it. But be a little bit worried. I am. You should be too. What in the world? How does this keep reverting back to... Sorry, guys. It keeps reverting back to an old page I had open. These games are over. I don't know why this is doing that. There we go. Sacramento broke their 6-game losing streak against a Dallas team that was missing both Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. And by the way, Klay Thompson too, for whatever that's worth. Probably didn't change the outcome all that much, but... And Derek Lively. So 80% of the starting 5 was out, and Sacramento escaped by the skin of their teeth. Spencer Dinwiddie did his part. And again, this is not that we need to spend 3 minutes on Spencer Dinwiddie because we've done it on each of the last 2 recap shows, I think. But this is why Dinwiddie is the pick when the usage guys are out, because every time someone's down, more gets funneled his way. And again, not that I dislike Quentin Grimes. I actually think he's perfectly startable. His line was fine in this game. Not great, but fine. 11 and 7, 3 threes, 3 assists. He had a block. That's fine. But the more guys that are out, a larger chunk of that pie gets diverted to Dinwiddie because he's the creator in this offense. With no Luka and no Kyrie, the guy who can go create a shot for himself or his teammates, there's really only one left, and it's Dinwiddie, which is crazy, by the way. It's sort of revealing a little bit of a gap for Dallas that they don't have like a... I mean, Spencer's doing fine for himself, but it's not great that that's the third... I don't say third option, but the third creator. I don't know. Maybe that's something that Dallas thinks about addressing. But for now, once Kyrie's back, obviously it's very different. But with both of those guys out, that's like, look how much Dinwiddie, 12 free throws, 18 shots, 6 assists. That's ridiculous. But we also can't get too carried away because 4 starters were out. Daniel Gafford is a prime sell high. As long as Derek Lively is out, see what you can get. Go get any top 100 center and abandon ship before Lively comes back. PJ Washington's a hold. Quentin Grimes is a stream, certainly, while 3... I mean, it's 4 starters, but you could have 3 starters out. He'd be a play. But again, this is the description of why we like Dinwiddie as the fill-in dude, because he was really good. On the Sacramento side, De'Aaron Fox shouldered the load. Nobody else really did all that much for the Kings. Malik Monk was fine, but the turnovers were high and the efficiency was low. This is why he was a sell high when he was going crazy right after moving into the starting 5. DeMar DeRozan only played 26 minutes here. He's a little bit of a buy low. So is Keegan Murray. I don't think they're going to go up a ton, but you've seen DeMar kind of level off after the hot start. Murray has just been sort of quiet throughout. He can't hit any shots this year. I do expect that to shift at some point. Take note of the fact that the Kings do have a new head coach. Keon Ellis played 20 minutes instead of 12. 20 is still not even remotely close to enough for a super low usage guy like Keon Ellis, but it's notable because it's going to come from someone. And in this game, DeMar played slightly fewer minutes. He was the guy that lost out a little bit. I don't think that's going to be the case every ball game. That would be extraordinarily surprising, but you never know. Keep an eye on it. Can we keep an eye on it? We can agree on that. The Cavs are a freaking wrecking machine, people. I really don't think folks realize how good Cleveland is. They're 28-4. 28-4. Thunder have won 11 games in a row, and somehow the Cavs are more impressive to me. I don't know why. It's just like the way they swallow teams up. they're so good at so many things. And they're just a machine right now. Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, these guys sort of always get theirs. No one's playing any minutes for the Cavs either because every game's a damn blowout win. Dean Wade had 10 and 13. He's a listen. Look. I know Dean Wade been playing like a little bit better lately. I don't want to take anything away from the dude. And he's been very good defensively for them, but he's not a guy you're starting in Roto. If you can catch the Cavs whenever they have their next like 5 games and 7 nights kind of stretch, that would be the time to do it. By the way, that's January 24th. If you're looking ahead, that's when that is. So whatever. We don't need to worry too much about that. They don't even need Max Strus right now. Man, beast. This game was over early, but a handful of Warriors still got starters-ish level minutes. Dennis Schroeder played 30. He was borderline. 12, 4, and 3 with a couple of 3 balls is close. I like that he got 12 shots. You guys know where I stand with Schroeder. I don't think he's going to be a top 100 guy when the dust settles, but I don't know for sure. And the other options out there are largely injury fill-in guys, so I think it's probably prudent to just see on Schroeder a little bit longer. If you drop him right now, someone else is going to pick him up and see what the next week looks like. So just let that guy be you or gal. Let that person be you to wait on Schroeder for 1 week. If he keeps getting about this much usage, you could probably wait longer because at some point he's not going to shoot 30%. Nobody on the Warriors can shoot. I think this is their poorest shooting home game since Steve Kerr took over the team. Woof. Schroeder shooting 28.5% with Golden State, 3 out of 10.5. And I get it. It's not good. But typically, if he's getting around 11 shots and playing, I think he'll get around 30 minutes a game when the dust settles. He's a guy that should get you around 14 and 6. And he's at 9 and 4 right now. He's shooting 17% from three-point land since he joined the Warriors. It's not going to be this bad forever. So, yeah, there's 2 things happening. One, he's going to be a lot worse with the Warriors than he was in Brooklyn because his role is just smaller. But 2, he's as cold as ice. Willing to sacrifice. Trace Jackson Davis era is upon us. That's the one piece of good news from this game. TJD had 16 and 16 with a couple of blocks. I think that's 4 really good games in a row, 4 or 5. He does not belong on any waiver wires. Make sure Trace Jackson Davis is added in every league that you are in. And if he's not, make sure that he then becomes added in every league you are in by you. That last one should be you. You know, you got where I was going with that. Jonathan Kuminga had 18 and 10, but it took him 15 shots and 14 free throws to get there. Yeesh. He's a sell high. Anytime he gets some popcorn numbers like he's had the last 3 games, Jonathan Kuminga is a sell high. And the last game on the docket for Monday night, Philly took care of Portland with relative ease. Kelly Oubre had 8 steals in this game, which is important because his usage with the team healthy is not that high. And you can look at the last few games when Embiid's been in. Specifically, it's Embiid. Everything is tied to Joel because he's the big usage guy. And for Oubre, the last, 2, 3, 4 game, whatever you want to call it, he's at 9 points, 10 points, 4 points, 9 points, 5 total assists over those 4 games. The rebounds have actually been okay, but not like change your team's fortunes. He's about 5 rebounds a game. And he hasn't hit a 3-pointer in 5 games. So the usage just isn't there. But the good news is Philly had one of the best schedules in the NBA to start this week, 3 games in 4 nights. So a lot of people played Kelly Oubre in weekly leagues or streamed him in regular old-fashioned head-to-head leagues, and they're cashing in. Huge game here. Embiid's going to sit one half of the upcoming back-to-back. That's another opportunity for Oubre to go big. When the team is healthy, I'm generally not playing him in Roto, which means, yes, I would have missed this 8-steal performance, but I also would have dodged the last 3 games in a row, which were quite bad. So, 6-1, half dozen kind of thing. Head-to-head, though, you get a good scheduling spot. He makes a lot of sense. Gershon Yabusele was a popular head-to-head stream with their good schedule, and I thought, man, that's a ballsy play with Embiid in, and Yabu stuck it in my face. 16 points, 4 boards. Did it efficiently. Somehow got 28 minutes here. Paul George had 5 fouls. This was a blowout. You put all that together, he only played 23 minutes. I actually think the biggest story from this game is that Paul George is an intense buy low right now. I feel like Paul George can be had for pennies on the dollar, don't you guys? He's number 78. He's averaging 31 and a half minutes per game. So that's not a number that people are going to look at and go, why is it so low? But it is a little bit low. But he's shooting 40.5% from the field and 79% at the free throw line. Those numbers are definitely going to come up. I would also argue that the usage is probably going to tick up a little bit for PG as well as he gets more comfortable. Comfort takes time. He's played 20 games. What's Embiid at? Like a dozen? They just haven't even had their guys together at all. You kind of have to pretend like this is the third week of the season for Philly, who, by the way, has very easily pulled out of their nosedive. They're now the 11 seed in the Eastern Conference. They're a win away from being in the play-in tournament. They're actually tied for it right now. We always knew everything was going to be fine. People were coming to me like, why would you tell me to buy low on Embiid if he's going to get shut down? He's not going to get shut down unless he's legitimately hurt. Philly's making the playoffs. But here's the thing. I don't want to get too caught up on that note. Yes, I was the jackass in the fantasy community saying, if you can get Joel Embiid for a top 50 guy, you do it. And by the way, a lot of leagues, you could. Because everybody in the NBA eventually gets healthy for like 3 games. And I get it. We're not, it's not exactly shooting the moon. But Embiid now, he's played in 11 games this year, not 12. I was off by 1. He's up to number 29 in 9 category rankings. And if you're looking at the last handful of games, he's going huge. And if this continues to happen, he's going to have fantasy value. He scored 27, 32, and 37 points in his last 3 ball games. Basically, the ones that he didn't get ejected. He has 6 3-pointers. He's not even rebounding yet. Like a lot of the stuff hasn't even come around for Joel, and he's still a mid-third rounder. That's with all those terrible games mixed in at the beginning. This is Joel Embiid, guys. That's the whole point. I also talked about on this show the fact that leading up to this week is a little bit different, but prior to this week, Philly had these long stretches where there weren't back-to-backs. Nice rest days. Well, he's going to miss 1 game this week, and then everybody's going to be like, right, yeah, Joel, he misses games. But then after that, they go, I think, 5 games in a row where there's no back-to-back. That's another stretch. If he plays in all 5 of those, sell hard. If you're in Roto, you better be targeting a top 20 guy coming back. Head-to-head, I think I would take a top 30 guy coming back. If you could get like a De'Aaron Fox for him, you'd do it. I don't know what else you could get. Mobley, Booker, maybe. Doubt it. This is still Embiid. That's the thing. I know I'm more bullish on him. I'm less afraid. I'm less terrified than basically everybody else. I'm fully aware I'm out on an island with this one. But I'm also a Roto guy. I'm a games cap dude. He's a head-to-head headache. But I maintain that most people in the fantasy community overvalue what the 55th ranked player is actually bringing to your fantasy team. They're good, mind you. DeMar DeRozan's been good this year. Chris Paul's been good. But your team would survive if you lost them for nothing, which is the big fear. What if I trade for Joel Embiid? And this is like a 4-week ago discussion, but what if I traded one of these guys for Joel Embiid and he just didn't play the rest of the year? Would my team have survived? Well, you're going to feel extra stupid because you gave up a player who was upright and useful for someone that didn't end up playing. That, I think, was the mental hurdle that everybody was struggling with. What if I do this and it flops? Am I the idiot? Yeah. But if it works, you're a genius. And this is one of those times where the ROI was positive. I was never in favor of giving up a top 35 guy for Joel Embiid. You don't want to give up, Anthony Edwards or Darius Garland or, frankly, De'Aaron Fox in those moments when Embiid looked like he might not play. That's too much. 3rd rounders are very useful. 5th rounders are fairly useful. Useful with me wiggling my hand. Useful. They're good. They're fun to have around, but your team would be okay. Think back about draft night. What if you lost your 5th round pick for the year? Would your team survive? Yeah. You'd muscle your way through. It'd be harder, but you'd be okay. What if you turned your 5th round pick into a 1st rounder? The main point of all of this, because there isn't a whole lot else to talk about with Philly, the main point of this is we always discuss on draft night making decisions based on, will this win me my league or will this lose me my league? Missing in the first 2 or 3 rounds will lose you your league. Nailing a 5th rounder helps win you a league, but missing on a 5th round risk doesn't lose you the league. And that's basically the way you had to think about it with Embiid a month ago. Now it's a different universe. We can talk more about that on another day. Let's wrap this sucker up. Portland, Denny Avdia, who we've talked about as a really interesting active stash, came through with 10 turnovers in this game. Yowza. Scoot, 24 minutes, not bad. 7 assists, 3 steals, bad field goal percent, 3 turnovers. He's a punt. We've talked about this. Again, beating the dead horse. Punt turnover, punt field goal guy, but he's already actually starting to look useful in some of the other categories. Not as much in this one, but lately. Tumani Kamara had one of his better games. You can basically ignore that outside of schedule spots. DeAndre Ayton, you try to sell him anytime he has a good game. Same with Anthony Simons. No Jeremy Grant in this one. Shaden Sharp had a bad shooting game. He's another guy where you buy when he's in a funk, you sell when he gets hot. He's a day trader, fantasy guy. I need to create a new category on my weekly shows called day traders. It's basically the buy when hot or buy when cold, sell when hot guys. And we talk about like Jordan Clarkson, whatever. But some of these guys have more name power. Like Shaden Sharp, I think, has more name power. Believe it or not. Maybe I'm wrong. Than Jordan Clarkson. Maybe it's exactly the same list. Shut up, Dan. just shut up. Wrap up the show, you jerk. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. That was your Monday recap show. Fun Tuesday coming up, as we've talked about before. We've got a normal number of games every single day until January 24th. This is one of the best stretches of the year. Yeah, it's kind of the dog days, but that's because there's some games every single day. We have stuff to do. We have work to do every day. This is one of the things I love about full season fantasy is this type of stretch where you're just like in the trenches for 3 weeks, making the moves, watching the games. There's no break. And this is when you can also separate yourself, because if you're paying attention all the time and someone else goes, I really just need a day off. Boom. You lap them. Eat it. Hey, it's New Year's Eve, everyone. If this is the last podcast you listen to from me before we hit 2025, Happy New Year. Make this new one a happy and, you guys know me. You know what I'm going to say. A healthy and safe one. And I cannot thank you all enough for making the Old Man Squad Network as unbelievably popular as it's become in record time. I had no delusions that this was going to go this fast. This has exceeded everything in my wildest dreams. Yes, you guys have many times pointed out that I'm just cranking out content all the time. Yeah, I am. But that's what you got to do if you want to make it work. But without you guys liking and subscribing and sharing and rating and all that important stuff and commenting and just everything along the way, there's no chance we would be where we're at right now. So thank you all from the bottom of my currently purple and gold covered heart. I love you all. You're the best. Happy end of 2024. Let's make this new year an awesome one. I'm Dan Bespers for the Old Man Squad. And I do have another show coming up later today anyway. So you probably will hear from me again, but I'll see you guys in a little bit. So long for now.